Hello, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Back to school for me today for my children. So I'm sure there's lots of parents on here that will need this workshop, either live or a later point. So I'm going to start off by introducing myself. So my name's Angela Doan. I am a mum of four. I'm an ex-teacher. I've got four boys, so the holidays have been fun, but also we've had lots of challenges as well, which we'll talk about on this call together. And I also work with little people during so I'm no longer in a teaching capacity in a traditional way, but I work in an education way with little ones now and families. So I do a class called Dinky Droplets, and I work with other children and parents. So I have got complete expertise to say that I've got the perfect parent secret manual. So all your parenting tools will be you'll have everything you need to be the perfect parent after this call. Absolutely not. So we'll get rid of that. That was just a little joke. I thought that was quite funny because there is no manual to be a parent. So there is no rule book. And in fact, my post this morning for back to school had my boys lunch boxes because they don't want photos, the big ones anymore. The little one wants a photo, and there's all a scramble in the outtakes that I sent in my family group for the grandparents and family members. Hilarious. Yeah, in my post this morning, I actually said I'm a mindfulness teacher who's lost his shit many times this last 2 weeks. So like, I definitely don't have any manual, unfortunately, but we are all in this together, and hopefully some of my lessons over my parenting journey and through my personal development journey and now my Mojo mentor journey will be of use to you. So we're going to start off. I'm going to try and share my screen because Jane has actually made me a co-host, and I'll talk to you more about my journey shortly because I will go on and on and on and on. But there's lots of parts of my story that have made me the parent that I am today. So I know that they will be useful, and I'm always really happy to share. I'm really passionate about sharing because people don't talk about the difficult times quite often, and that's another factor in being a parent in the modern world. You've got the social media highlight reel and all the pressure that comes from that. And we've got another prop. I love a prop. I don't think these are going to fit though, because these are from Dinky Droplets, for the little ones. But I've got some little glasses, which are to represent that there's a rose tinted view on here quite often. And I am not going to share all the rose tinted stuff because we've got to ride the waves, and we've got to ride the roller coaster of emotions that comes with being a parent and being a human and navigating all that. So let me find out how I share my screen. It's been a little while since I've done this. Let's have a look. More, right, here we go. Share. Oh, I'm not sure where I do share the screen. Oh, I've seen it. I've seen it. Right, okay. Let's have a look. Hang on 1 minute. Bear with.
This is where we see your amazing tech skills.
Oh, this is where I remember how much I didn't appreciate Zoom during lockdown.
Yeah.
Because I want to share something on my desktop, but I can't work out how to do that.
You should do. When you hit share screen, it might give you options. And hopefully,
And I've actually, ladies and gentlemen, cleaned my desktop so you don't see how scattered my desktop usually is. So it's all
quite
tidy
impressive.
for you.
I know you've hoovered this morning as well, which is an
I
extra.
have. Oh, here we go. I think I'm on my desktop, aren't I?
Yeah.
See, there's no pop-ups, there's no screen shares. So hopefully we should be able to see this now. Is that showing?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So that was just something that I thought was a nice little header. So we are having a family well-being get together, chatting about all things parenting, all things going back to school, some little top tips that I've learned along the way, and some resources that you can hopefully add to your toolkit. So this is one that I wanted to share with you. which is a little poem that I sent out to my Dinky Droplets families this morning. I thought it was quite fitting. So, for families with little ones starting school, today you're brave, my little star, with uniform and bag so new. Though my heart feels near and far, I'm so incredibly proud of you. You'll make friends and learn and grow, but you'll always be my baby, you know. And that literally could not be more true this morning because even though I don't have a little dinky start in school, because Vinny's going into year one, he's my youngest, he's 5, nearly 6. I do have my who I felt was more my baby this morning, my Riley, who is 11 and he's an August baby, so he's a younger one in his year, and he's starting his first day of high school this morning, and he's been so chilled and cool about it. And he just, I know he's just going to go and have a great day, but he just looks so small in his uniform today. And it doesn't matter where you are in your parenting journey, but what age of children you've got, whether they're the first day of school, the first day of preschool, the first day of nursery, first day of high school, last day of, it's always going to come with those emotions. Or it might be you're starting your first day back in your routine as a home educator, because you now can go and do your usual routine without the school holiday, because let's acknowledge that, because in the home educator circles, and we work within those, um it's a challenge in that space, because the holidays are very different for the children and the families there. So we're all navigating this first day of school in some way today, or yesterday perhaps for some. So that's the first bit of love for you all, and this is just something I like to share when I talk about parenting, because obviously I've acquired some skills over the years, and my background is education and working with children and working with little ones. But this is one of my favorite holiday pictures that I like to share, when people say, "Oh, you, Angela, you look like you've got everything together. How are you so calm?" I'm thinking, you do not see the uncalm Angela. And the last 2 weeks have definitely been more of the uncalm Angela. And I know Jane can be testament to that from the numerous voice messages that I've been sending. So this was a family picture, and there is going to be friction with siblings and families. It's not always perfect. So we're going to now do a little exercise together, which I thought would be nice to start off before I talk about my journey. So we are going to do this time capsule where you will need a piece of paper. So I'll give you a bit of time, because actually I probably should have said that at the start, to grab yourself some pen and paper. But obviously you don't have to. You can put it in your notes of your phone if you want to, or you can just take a mental note of it. But if you want to do it, it might be nice for something to keep. So you are going to fold your piece of paper in half. And then on one side, we're going to draw or write something that represents your children. Oh, there's a lovely little typo there. I can tell I did this last night, can't you? You children, your children. So something that represents your children or your child right now in this moment. So it could be like a hobby that they have. It could be a new obsession they have, maybe a new toy collection, or maybe they've got into some type of food, some foods that they like to eat. TV program. In my house, it's been darts constantly. So it can be anything and whatever comes to mind. And I'm going to do it as well.
My pen doesn't work, so I found equipment for first day back at school. So I'm going to get another pen.
I'm only going to do this for about 5 minutes. So I'm going to make a little note of the time. Should have had a little bit of music in this little bit, shouldn't we? Oh, I do apologise for all these typos. I was definitely tired doing this last night, wasn't I? And then when you've done the first slide, if you want to move on to the second part, which is writing or drawing something from when they were smaller that you will miss or treasure forever. This is something that, maybe a few years ago that they were into, that they're no longer into. Definitely don't miss the Peppa Pig phase though. Don't know if anyone else can relate to that. Oh, it was quite interesting that, wasn't it, to be able to think back to when they were younger, and you don't really give yourself the time to reflect on things like that. So obviously you can come back to that and you probably find a lot more that you can add to it. Um, and the little comment there, ride the waves, because I just like to remind us that, the emotions are gonna come and go. So I'm going to stop sharing screen now so that you can see me as I share my story. So I'll come back and then, am I showing on screen, Jane?
You should, but yes, you are. There's a slight delay, so I've just looked at the feed and you're back. You're
Perfect. I thought why I'm sharing my story, it might be nice to be to camera. So I'm doing well with the tech because I normally forget that I'm on screen share and people just have to look at slides. So I'll do my little introduction again now, because obviously people might be joining this live as and when. So welcome if you are joining from Mojo School Live or on Jane's feed, and later on you might be watching the replay. So my name is Angela. So I am a mum of four. I've got four boys, so my boys are all aged. There's quite a range of ages. My eldest is just gone into year 10, so he's nearly 15. Then I have Riley, who's just started high school today at age 11. So I can't believe I've got half in high school and half in primary school now. I'm actually said to a parent a few weeks ago before we broke up, I was like, I'm actually going to be a normal parent now because I've only got two things to coordinate in primary school, whereas at one point I was coordinating three things and two things. And the reason I did a little inverted commas is because there's no such thing as normal. We literally we are all unique, and that's why I've got this little droplet here I'll talk to you about later. So this is Gold Droplet, and I made Gold Droplet because we're all superstars, we're all unique, every family is different, and that's why there can't be that perfect parent handbook, because every scenario is different. So I've digressed. So I've got two in high school, I've got two in primary school, and my littlest is in year 1, so he's 5, nearly 6, because he's one of the older ones. And then I've got Zachary's gone into year 5. So all different ages, and with every parenting chapter, there comes challenge that you have to navigate. And I will talk to you about the very early start of my parenting journey because it's very relevant to where I am today and why I do the work that I do. So I'll rewind to 2015. So in 2015, I was a teacher. I've been teaching since I left university. So I'm 42 now, and I was, I would have been in my 20s then. So I've got a lot of experience as a teacher, but I did leave my last teaching post in 2018. And I loved teaching. I loved being in the classroom. But when I had my children, I realized that actually it's something that if you're giving everything to your class in school, then something's not happening at home. And I just felt this constant mum guilt. And lots of you will resonate with that, whether you're a teacher or whatever workplace you're in, or whether you've got your own business, you're always going to have that mum guilt. And we've talked about this before. In fact, me and Jane were just talking about this now. When you have children, you should get given a slip which says, here's your mum guilt slip for life, or your dad. Let's not forget dads as well. This is your slip. You get your parent guilt slip for life, because you're always going to feel a tug towards, oh, I feel guilty about that, or did I do that right? Because that's how it is. But my mum guilt came when I was rushing my littlest at the time to bed because I wanted to do this report or this lesson plan. And I kind of got through it with my first child. But when my second son came along, it was a completely different landscape because I had a very testing parenting journey. He was struggling with reflux. So I had Tyler, who's about 3.5. I had Vinny, not Vinny. Oh, this is what happens. I always get the names wrong because there's that many. I had Riley, who was a baby, and I had Vinny, who was not Vinny. Oh my gosh. This is what my brain is like, ladies and gentlemen. This is what happens when you're in the 6 weeks holiday. I should have put in my notes. This is your child that's this age. This is your child that's this. Right, I'll have a drink of caffeine. I'll have some caffeine, wake myself up. So Tyler and Riley, they were my first and second children. Tyler was in starting nursery, and I had Riley, who was a baby. And I was on maternity leave, but it was so challenging. The sleep deprivation was so challenging because Riley had, bless him, he had a reflux. He was a really challenging baby. And it was nothing like my experience with Tyler. And that is so true. My 4, none of them have been the same. And Jane has got 4. Rochelle has got 4. Lots of us that within our circles have 4 children. That's quite spooky, that actually. But we've all said all of our children, regardless of genders, they're all different because they are, and they should be. They should all be like gold droplet. They should all be unique, and we need to celebrate that. So anyway, this is why I didn't do my introduction to start with, because I knew it would be it would be very long-winded. But so that was a dark place, really, because I was struggling. Really, I felt like I breezed through the first pregnancy, but then I juggled the work, but then I was on maternity leave, and then there was another edge to the story of my life, because we found out we were having Zachary when Riley was 9 months old. So this was where I definitely experienced a poor side of my mental health. But at the time, I didn't understand mental health. I didn't really understand about well-being. I didn't have any tools. I thought I had it all together. I thought, I've got a lovely family. I've got a supportive family. I've got a supportive partner. I know I've got children. I've worked with children all my life. I know exactly what to do. But in that pregnancy, because it was out of my control, and quite often when we don't have control on things, that's when, we face in that whirlwind of emotions, and it can spiral, can't it? So because I hadn't had control in the pregnancy, and then this was one of my times where it was quite a dark time, which I always talk about, and it's very much a taboo subject, but I will always talk about it because there were so many women out there, and men, family members, that go through this. And, you know, it is something that we need to have more awareness of because it is a mental health, it is a mental health thing. So I always imagined I had a sister, there was me and my sister, we always had Barbie dolls, we always had you know, all the pink things. So I always imagined I would have a daughter. So having a boy, first of all, you wanted more than one child. So I was like, well, the next one will be a girl. So Riley wasn't a girl, and I loved him dearly, but he was a handful as well. So when I found out I was having Zachary, I was in a bit of a tailspin. I didn't know the gender to start with, but I really faced a lot of questioning from people, from strangers. Oh, next one will be a girl. Oh, it'd be nice to have a girl. And I felt this pressure on my shoulders, this pressure from society, from people, which is why we need to really, you know, actually realize, you know, social media can be quite a toxic place if, you know, if we let it. We need to really look after ourselves and actually protect ourselves, because actually other people, they might not mean to be offensive, but this is what I always say to people and why I like to educate on this topic, because people don't, and I did educate quite a few people, especially when I came out the other side, because people don't realize when they say a comment like, oh, next one will be a girl, oh, you've got your hands full, or oh, a football team. And my favorite one, which I think all mums of multiple children will love, have you not got a TV at home? But things like that, you know, people say things, and this would be my message. It would always be practice compassion and practice, you know, always think before you speak, because anything to do with fertility, anything to do with families or children, it's always something that you don't know the inside story to. So I would always say that is something to be aware of. So that was a really dark time. And I ended up finding out I was having another boy. And it was I found out because I thought that would give me back control. But then I spent the time probably feeling worse. But then when he was born, luckily, everything resolved and I loved him dearly and I just got on with it. But that was my third pregnancy. And the reason things improved is because I was introduced to the world of personal development, introduced to techniques, gratitude, which is my yellow droplet. So yellow droplet, the droplets, which I'll talk to you about at the end, I created in lockdown. And they were all designed to help my children. And then I went into schools to deliver sessions. And Yellow Droplet is all about looking on the bright side. So positivity, gratitude. So when I was introduced to personal development in 2016, when Zachary was only a few months old, my whole landscape changed. And I realized actually I had definitely had prenatal depression during that pregnancy. I've definitely experienced lots of anxiety, parenting anxiety, work anxiety, and I just brushed it off. I just thought those stomach flips were just things that everyone deals with. So I think having an awareness and now working in the well-being space, you know, I've just gained my tools, and Mojo School has been instrumental in that, because I had great building blocks, but now having the tools to be able to share with others in a wonderful format and as a Mojo mentor, it has been instrumental. So I'm up to my personal development journey where we learned about gratitude, affirmations, positivity, a little bit of meditation, getting out into nature. And I also went into a health and wellness business, which I absolutely feel huge gratitude for now, because that introduced me to community, introduced me to all the personal development things that I've gone on to use now. So fast forward to when I was having Vinny, again, it was another surprise. I was thinking, oh, I'm destined to be a boy mum, but the difference when we had Vinny, he came from a tragic family time as well. So all this you can find out my full story in the Feathers Resilience Mojo Mentor story, which I've got a little picture of at the end for you on the slides. But there has been so many layers to my story, and each one has brought challenge, but each one has made me who I am today. And I think whatever part of life you're in today, whether it's something to do with parenting, something impersonal to you, you have the strength and you can grow that resilience and you can learn the lessons. And it might not feel like it at the time, but this too shall pass, because you will always come out the other side. And I use that for everything, not just for parenting. But when I was having Vinny, I just was embracing the fact that I was destined to be a boy mum, and it was completely different because I had the tools. I was living the personal development. So that's why I'm so passionate about sharing personal development strategies. And that's why the last 2 weeks of holidays have been challenging, because I like to do cold water dips, which haven't been easy to do with the children at home. I do, spend time meditation, but it's hard to meditate when you can hear the darts going boom, 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 boom. And that's why routines and personal development I will always share, and I will always talk to people about. So that's a little bit about my parenting journey. But you can find out the full story in the Feathers of Resilience story. So I will talk to you a little bit more about my droplets and my role now in the community, but we're going to go back to the screen share because I've talked for a little while. So we're going to do another little exercise now. So if I find my screen share. Right, here we go. Back we go. Here we go. So, there we go. So this is introducing the part. So we're gonna do a couple more exercises within this workshop, but they're going to be based on red droplet and yellow droplet. So the days are long, but the years are short. So that's just something for you to remember. And we're going to now talk about red droplet and normalizing all emotions. So I've got a couple of techniques for you to look at. So when my children are feeling some feelings, it's always, and I've been guilty of this in the past, it's always easy to kind of dismiss them and say, oh, come on, don't be silly, or what are you complaining about that for, or maybe there's a tantrum happening in Tesco, and it's really challenging as a parent because quite often it's that feeling of judgment. However, always be there as that person, say, oh, it's okay, I get it, acknowledge, I recognize that something's happening, and give that space to kind of process that feeling. And then these are just a couple of exercises that I've got for you. I am going to share all these within this section of the Mojo Freshers Week Wednesday day, so you'll be able to find it. So if you are watching this through Facebook or on the live stream, you need to get onto Mojo School and get involved in our Freshers Week, which is going on from Monday the 1st all the way till Sunday the 7th. So you've got lots of time to get involved. So I'm going to share all this within here, but here are a few techniques. So for younger children, I would advise breathing in green and blowing out red. And you can imagine that doing as a dragon breath. Younger children tend to find it a little bit easier with a more basic breath, but a box breath is something that I've done with children of all ages. Adults can get involved in this as well, where we would breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and then hold for a count of 4. So I will share these so you've got them as resources, but those are two really cool breathing techniques for when you're feeling overwhelmed, for when the children are feeling overwhelmed, and when you need it as well, because we get overwhelmed and we definitely need it too. So we're going to do this recognizing your triggers activity, and I'm pleased to say that I must have been a bit more on it with this one because there's no spelling mistakes. So we're going to get a piece of paper again, and we are going to this time fold it into quarters, or we can use the back of our paper from before if you want to. So we need 4 sections for this one. So this is really important, and you can choose to do this now for yourself, or you can choose to do it for your children or one of your children, because I find that sometimes with my boys especially, there'll be phases that my children are going through, milestones that they're going through, and certain times might be more, I might need to give more support for emotional regulation to one of my children than one of my other children. So maybe you want to focus this, if you've got more than one child, maybe you want to focus it on a child that might particularly need it, that you might be able to help a little bit more at this point. But recognizing triggers for feeling red, feeling that anger, frustration, that overwhelm, that disappointment, that's the first step into being able to support. So if we fold our page into 4, we're going to put on the first section the biggest trigger. So I'll sort of give a little example so it can make sense. So disappointment is one that we've come up with over the holiday. So having all of my boys at different ages and wanting to do different things has been something I've had to manage. So one of them is not used to going out on their own, another one is, and if I've needed to take the children somewhere because we've had fitted in dentists and all different things, it's that disappointment if they can't do something instantly. So recognizing when, it's not a yes can be a big trigger. So maybe we'd put no down. No, hearing no could be a trigger. And if you're aware of that, then you can be prepared for it. Or it might be, a little bit of shoutiness, or it could be, like clenching fists, or it might just be an expression. Each child, again, going back to gold droplet, is unique. So it'll be relative to you. So then for 2 warning signs, and this is something I would advise chatting to your children about, even if they're little children, talk about, oh, I can see you feeling like red droplet here, or I can see you feeling red. Where does it feel red in your body? And you can ask them to point or show, and then having those conversations can help them to become to become more emotionally aware and to create that emotional intelligence and to help them regulate. So body signs, warning signs is the next section. And within the Mojo School, we have actually got a full course for red droplet, which is lots of exercises about emotional regulation, lots of support materials, and there are templates where you can explore this further. But with a child, you might just want to draw a body. We have our templates available, but you can do this with a piece of paper or just a conversation. So once you've talked about warning signs in the body, you can look at number 3, which is things that help to reset. So you will want to be looking at creating a toolkit of calming techniques. So for example, we've got some of the breathing techniques that we've just explored. We have got taking yourself away, giving yourself space. So I always say to, if my children are feeling it, I've worked out those body triggers. I've picked up those warning signs. I just say, would you like space, or would you like to talk about it? What do you want to cuddle, or do you want to be on your own? So quite often, as well as the first step would always be acknowledging, and then giving an option is always really helpful because it's giving back control. So when you're feeling this spectrum of emotions, these red droplet emotions I like to talk about with children feel really out of control. So by first of all recognizing, oh, I can see you feeling red there, and then giving the options of, would you like mum to give you some time on your own so you can feel a little bit better, or would you like mum to give you a cuddle? So giving options, distraction, having a book, squeezing a pillow. There's so many different techniques which we'd explore further within Mojo School, but those are a few that I use regularly. Spot the difference books are really good as well. Just anything to distract. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Look, using the senses to help you. And then one thing you want to remember in the heated moments is well, it'll be dependent on the situation. So if it's from the feeling of disappointment and your child isn't able to go somewhere, once you've gone through the calming and you're feeling a bit better, I always say, well, this isn't permanent. This isn't forever. You can do that tomorrow. This too shall pass, because it's not something that you're always going to feel. And also a piece of advice for us as adults is it's not personal. It's you are your child's safe space. So although it feels really shit when you're in it, let's not sugarcoat it. When your child feels safe and comfortable to be able to express themselves and to show them that they need your help, you're their safe space. So I always think that's really important to remember as well. Right, so hopefully you found that useful. Again, this is all within the Mojo School if you're watching live, so you can find these resources for future reference. I'm going to come off the share again now because I've got something to share before and to talk to you about before we go into gratitude attitude. So I got my little yellow droplet now. Am I back on? Am I back on? Brilliant. Okay, so here is yellow droplet, and I meant to share this earlier, but I said to Jane before when we were doing the tech for this, I said, I've got notes, but I probably won't use them because I was meant to do this at the beginning, but it's fine because it fits in now nicely before we talk about gratitude. So this is a little poem, and within the Freshers Week, there is a little video that I've shared, which is a video of this poem. So it's even nicer to watch the video, but I will read it now. So this is a reminder for new parents. So this is going back. This is what I wish I would have been able to take a snapshot of and really held on to when I was in those sleepless nights, when I was, with the reflux and I was, feeling at the end of my tether, because there is a reason why sleep deprivation is a form of torture, isn't there? It is the mental demands on sleep deprivation. So if you are in that space now as a parent, just know this too shall pass, and I hope that this poem will resonate. So it's sunrise, a new dawn, a heart overflowing. Is this the love you've dreamt of? Can you feel the depth of it, even now amidst the chaos? Sleepless nights, endless demands. Where is the serenity you imagined? Can you find gratitude in the midst of this exhaustion? Loneliness creeps in. The world moves on while yours stands still. Who are you now beyond the blur of nappies, baby sick and feeds? Can you rediscover yourself in this new role? Old dreams fade, new ones emerge, unexpected and profound. Can you embrace the unknown, the path untravelled? A tiny hand seeking yours, a fleeting smile, a burst of pure joy. What is the magic in these small moments? Can you savor them, truly savor them before they slip away? The mundane becomes a sacred, a bath, a bedtime story, the ordinary rhythm of their breath. Can you find beauty in the ordinary, the everyday miracles? First steps, a world unveiled, their eyes wide with wonder, taking in everything. What are you teaching them? What are they teaching you? The weight of their head on your shoulder, the warmth of their tiny hand in yours. What is the depth of this love you never knew existed? You are not alone. Every parent in every corner of the world shares this journey. Can you find solace in the shared experience, the universal bond of parenthood? The days are long, but the years are short. Can you find gratitude in the present moment, knowing this too shall pass? This is it. This is the magic. This is the love that will forever shape you. Can you embrace the chaos, the joy, the profound transformation? Breathe, be present, love fiercely, for these are the moments you will treasure forever. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I managed to read that. I was welling up reading that. And it's this new cycle for Jane, Mojo School founder, because she's going into a new era of how she's going to be experiencing all this with as a grandparent. So this phase of life that you're in will not last. This too shall pass. And reading that, I was thinking back to my sleepless nights journeys and those little secret moments. And when it's just you and your baby at 4 o'clock in the morning and you're exhausted, it's hard to feel that gratitude for that time, but you will never get that precious time together again. Once they grow out of that phase and they start to sleep through, those little moments are few and far between. Going to school this morning and only having one little one that wants to hold my hand, when at one time I had everyone fighting over my hand. It's this, that when you're in the thick of parenthood, whatever chapter you're in, it's going to feel challenging. But that poem, I created it for new parents, but we can take a lot from that, whatever phase we're in, we can resonate with. Because for me, it's, my two high schoolers trotting off today, like, oh, mom, do we have to have a photo? And that's it. Whereas years ago, they'd be the one smiling, posing, wanting to see the photos I'd taken. So it's completely it's about having that perspective that even the most challenging times can be the times that you can treasure the most. So that brings us to our gratitude part. Let me see how I'm doing for time. Oh, I'm doing all right, actually. So gratitude for new parents, gratitude for every phase of parenting that you're in. So we're going to do another little exercise in a minute, which is about gratitude. So let me see where we are. Right, let's go back to my slides share. I'm glad I made these slides now, so it's definitely keeping me on track. And now I've got the hang of the tech. Go me. We're going to do a gratitude timeline now. So this gratitude timeline is going to be about past, present, and future. So we're going to take a piece of paper. So you probably need to take a brand new piece of paper now. Or if you're doing it on your notes, type it on your notes of your phone. Or maybe if you're watching this on a replay, you're together. Maybe you're together with your partner. You can talk about this together, have a conversation about it. So we're going to draw a simple timeline, and we're going to have a past section. We're going to have a present, and we're going to have a future. So in the past, we're going to write or draw one parenting moment that you are grateful for. So something that happened in the past that you hold dear to your heart as being something that you have extreme gratitude for. And if you're finding this, not challenging, that's the wrong word, but if you're finding that this isn't coming naturally, or you're having to think about it, don't put there's no pressure. This might be something you don't want to do now, but you might want to take a snapshot and have a go at it later. When you first start doing gratitude, it can, it's a practice, so it does take a little bit of time, but the more you do it, the more you'll benefit from it, and the more that you'll have those happy hormones released in your body, because you'll be feeling all those feelings, and you'll be in that appreciative state. So don't put pressure on yourself if this is feeling challenging, but it's definitely something you might want to return to. So past, something that you are grateful for previously. Present, something about your children now, or child now, that you want to remember. So I'll share mine. It was walking my boys to school this morning, because I've still got two in primary, and that's something that I'll still be able to do, because the older two obviously go off on their own. So that's my present. And for as long as that continues, I will always have deep gratitude for that. and future, one thing you're excited to see them become experience. So it could be, my boys are really into darts. They're doing really well. They've just started doing some darts tournaments and having success there. It could be sporting, it could be football. It could be, going on a holiday that you've planned, something you've got in mind for the future. So again, that's completely dependent on your goal droplet, because we're all unique. So yeah, that's your gratitude timeline. So we're just going to talk a little bit now before we finish. I want to talk to you a little bit more about the droplets. We've got 15 minutes left. But I have also put on here, remember, you cannot pour from an empty cup. So I'm going to come out and explain that a little bit more. So I'll stop the share. So you cannot pour from an empty cup. And this is something that I always talk about. And I'll never forget this piece of advice that one of my dear friends gave me. When I was in the thick of sleepless nights, I had 2 months apart, 3 of them under 4. It was a wild time. And I remember my friend saying, Angela, but it's meant to take a village. She said, it is meant to take a village. We were not meant to be doing it solo. We were meant to live in tribes, and we were meant to help each other. So when we're trying to juggle a house, a job, maternity leave, childcare, it is no wonder that our cup is empty, which is why you always need to look after yourself. And you should not feel guilty for giving yourself that time. And that's why I know I am going to be back to my cold water dip in the thing that lights me up, getting into nature, getting back into some running, doing things that I can't do when the children are here. And I know that's not selfish, and I'm not going to have that guilt for it, because that's going to help me show up as a better parent. So whatever it is to you that helps you and that supports you, make time for it. And within Mojo School, we have so many resources and so many trainings and so many ideas on how you can do that, because it's not, again, I mean, this droplet's coming out all the time, but we're gold droplet, it's not one size fits all. We are all unique, we are all individual, and we always need to remember that. I'm just checking I've mentioned everything on my notes. Yes, so self-love, take the pressure off yourself. We've talked about social media. So back to school today, some people have got you may have had, a back to school breakfast, or, banners, or, children that look, having the polished back to school pictures. I've got the lunchbox picture because no one wanted a photo. Doesn't matter. Comparison is the thief of joy, and you do not know the backstory. And actually, some people, it gives them joy to have a big back to school breakfast, whereas other people might just be scraping the children out of bed, getting out the door. And take that pressure off yourself. That is one thing that I would say of all aspects of social media, especially now, the run up to Halloween, Christmas. There's going to be lots of things that people are doing, but again, it's not right for every family, because we're all different. So I've covered everything that I wanted to on my notes, so that's good. So for the last little bit now, I'll talk to you a little bit about the droplets, because we are going to be, within today's Freshers Week day, we are going to be talking about resources, groups, and we're going to be signposting events and things, aren't we? I think, there's going to be an option for us to share, things that will help us as a parent, things you might want to get involved in, and that's what collaboration and working together is so important as a parent, as a human being. We were not meant to do it all. So share things, share what's working, share events, share groups. So my background, as I said, was as a teacher. So in 2020, during lockdown, I always had this, from 2016, in my experience after having Zachary and having that prenatal depression, I was always passionate about well-being and mindset, and I was doing some of the practices myself. So in lockdown, I came up with a concept about color droplets, all coming from the rainbow vibes that were going on. So I'll share a little bit about them, but you can find out a lot more about them within the Mojo School, and I'll share a little video in today's Freshers Week. And if you're not in the Mojo School app, then where have you been? Get in there. There's loads going on this week, especially till Sunday. Stuff not just for parents, stuff for everybody. So there's loads of cool stuff going on. You can check back in what's happened so far. So you'll find out more detail in there about the droplets. But this is yellow droplet, which we've just talked about gratitude, looking on the bright side. What do you love? What makes you smile? So all the positive things. We've got red droplet, which we talked about a bit about the emotional regulation, feeling frustration, overwhelm, anger, disappointment as well is something for children. That's on this spectrum. So helping us with those strategies and normalizing it's okay to feel like red droplet because we've got tools that can help us. And on the same spectrum, we've got this droplet, blue droplet. Blue droplet's all about it's okay to feel blue. There's always something you can do to be the best you. So cheer yourself up. Again, normalizing, knowing you've got the tools to help you. Kitchen discos are the way forward, whatever age. So get the music on, get dancing. And we've got an amazing playlist within Mojo School, the Feel Good playlist. So you can check out all the Feel Good songs there. Purple droplet is purple power, superhero power, all about affirmations, positivity. We've got pink droplet, tickle pink with kindness, being kind to others, being kind to the environment, being kind to animals, being kind to yourself as well. Then we've got, what do you think this one is? Green droplet, getting out into nature. And we've got an amazing nature talk tomorrow, I think, haven't we, coming up? So nature, the power of nature, healing in nature. We have got orange droplet, which is all about make-believe, vision, optical orange glasses, superpower vision. So visualizing and, focusing on what you want and not what you don't want. And then we have got, last but not least, we've got the gold droplet, which I've been holding out. So superstar, diversity, being who you are, being proud to be who you are. I do have 3 others, but I'm not going to share them on the call, but I do use 3 other droplets within the Dinky Droplet. So I run a class on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and Tuesday we were in Wrexham. When Thursday we're in Bretton Chester, so I do sessions for under 5s. From babies, and we basically cover these concepts, but in a fun way through messy play, sensory play, and we do creative stuff. And I have handouts for parents because I'm so passionate about families, hence why I'm doing this today, because it's not just about the children, it's about us being on this journey together. So that's a little bit about the droplets, but I will put some information in the Wednesday part of Freshers Week, so you can find them easily. Let me check on the time. Oh, I've still got 8 minutes. Still got 8 minutes, so I can wrap up with the last little bit on my slide. So let me find it. Oh, I'm so impressed with myself getting on this. So to finish off today, we are going to do a permission slip. So actually, do you know what, Jane? This is just why me and you are so in sync and why we always come up with the same ideas. We're talking about you should have a guilt slip. So I must have had we haven't discussed this, but this is so fitting to end this workshop today. So take some paper and we are going to just put whatever comes to mind on. This is your permission slip. Whatever phase of parent you're in, it's a permission to not have all the answers on the hard days. It's to not have all the answers on the days when things are going well. It's to celebrate the tiny wins because, my little joke at the beginning about the secret handbook of being a parent, there isn't one. We just have to go with the flow and do our best and have that kindness to ourselves. So whatever comes to mind now on this piece of paper, which is your permission slip, right, scribe whatever comes to mind. And as I say, there's no pressure with this. If whatever comes to mind, you want to return to it. One thing that's really helped me within Mojo School has been the course Write Your Way to Wellness, because we do lots of journaling prompts in there, and it's really helped my my processing with writing and getting things onto paper. But it might be you want to draw. You might want to draw a parenting win. A win might be you've got your head on the pillow at night and that the day's over. So you have you've done three little mini exercises today, which are just for you. But obviously, if within the community space, that is a safe space, a supportive space. If you want to share any thoughts from today, feel free to chat in the comments. Feel free to get in touch, share any wins, share any breakthroughs, because again, it's all about collaborating. And that's why we love our digital campfire, because that is a space for us to support and uplift. And with social media being the way it is, it's a really positive thing to have the opposite of what can happen on other platforms, where you do feel the pressure, you do feel the judgment. Here, we are a community that supports and uplifts. So if you haven't checked out the campfire, definitely do it. And I just wanted to leave this last little picture to remind you that if you haven't found it already, this is my full story. So I went into a little bit of it today, but there's a lot more layers to it. And it is my Feathers of Resilience story, which is unique to me. And then the last bit is just find out more at Mojo Families, because we have been working behind the scenes creating some Mojo content for families. So the droplets kind of go up to 8-9 years. So within the courses, there's bits and pieces from kind of, I'd say sort of 3 to 8 years. Some little bits might apply to toddlers. But we've got red and yellow droplet courses live now, and lots more on the horizon. So check that out. So I'll just come back to give you a little wave off, because I think we're just about approaching the end. And I am super proud of myself, like gold droplet again, because
Beautiful.
I've kept to time. I've said everything that I wanted to say. But yeah, Mojo School, I can't recommend enough. And doing my Feathers of Resilience story has been really healing, really empowering. And for the once time when, as a parent, I was feeling judged, I was feeling guilty, I was feeling broken, I was feeling all the feelings and thinking, why am I like this? Why am I going through gender disappointment? To now be able to stand proud and actually share it in an empowering way, that is a magic of personal development, when you have the tools to be able to share your story and stand up and be proud. There's something really special about that. So I just want to thank Jane for giving me the platform to do that, because we've got a few stories now, but it's the first of many, and lots of people to feel the same way, whether you're a parent or not.
That
So
was so perfect. So perfect. Perfect timing, perfect content. Hopefully, that's going to really help so many people. I'm super proud of your story as well. If you're
oh,
not ready yet, you've got to go and check that out, because our first 3 stories are on there.
okay.
Yay! And I believe everybody in the room right now live is already inside Mojo School, so working their way through Freshers Week. But yeah, there's so much more available to you that we're going to walk you through. And I have noticed, and Gracielle, you tried to warn me at the last possible minute, but I didn't get it. For some reason, by the power of international timelines, the inside of Mojo School has decided to trip out and offer a different time. So on our socials, it's already said 10 a.m. and you guys are here. However, the inside of our learning platform has decided to announce it's 11 a.m. So apparently you're going live in 2 minutes,
Oh,
Angela. Everybody does get that notification.
could
Ignore it.
probably, I could probably, me, I like to talk, I could probably
You could
do
do
it
it
in
all
another
over again.
hour.
If you get that notification, ignore it. It's not
And
meant to be.
thank you for the lovely comments in the chat, because I was so focused on getting the tech right. I wasn't really paying attention to who's on, but thank you for your lovely comments and for joining. I really appreciate that. It does mean the world. So thank you.
Oh, gorgeous. And I've done all my activities. I'm going to share the pictures later if you can understand my writing. I'll pop that in the digital campfire. And if you're watching live and you're not on there yet, the links are everywhere, all over our socials. You can hop on Freshers Week at any time. And it's free. And there's loads of cool resources that will always be free inside Mojo School. So get in there, because there's some bonus stuff, and it's where you find all our stories and our lovely supportive campfire. So thank you so much, Angela. I'm
You're
super
welcome.
proud. You've done
Thank
a
you.
brilliant job. It's amazing. It's going to help so many people. And our challenge for today is just that. It's building
Yeah,
that village. So it's
yes,
about
indeed.
sharing. So sharing links to books, to resources, to clubs, to things that are happening near you. We're going to be sharing a little page with helplines and different support spaces. So get involved if you get a chance today. Just share some of the love so that we can become that village for
Yeah,
each of them.
definitely.
no
Love
matter
that.
where you are on that parenting journey. So yeah, and if anybody does decide to join right now live at 11 o'clock, I'm so sorry because we're not going to be there because we're going to get a cup of tea. But thank you, everybody. We've hit 11,
Oh,
so I'm going
thank
to sign
you.
off now. The recording's going to be live inside Learn Worlds later. So we'll see
Bye.
you.
Bye.